one but two Chinese languages in use, namely simplified and traditional. For the record, the distinction between these two is much larger than that between British English and American English. I grew up in mainland China reading and writing simplified, and when I first arrived in Hong Kong and saw all the traditional Chinese, I was happy that I could read them. But when I tried to write them from memory, I lost all the details. My Hong Kong friends told me the same story they had with simplified Chinese, and that leads me to ask the question that has never been answered. Do my and my Hong Kong friends' brain process these two languages differently? I dive into literature and found something called holistic processing. It is an expertise marker in face processing and demonstrated through composite paradigm. To illustrate, please pay attention to the top halves of three faces here. If you feel they look slightly different from each other, that is holistic processing working. Just so you know, they're identical, all from Siwa Learn, only paired up with different bottoms from Xi Jinping, Siwa Learn, and Ma Ying-jeou. We used the same paradigm and adopted into Chinese character recognition and found the expertise marker is just the opposite, which is analytic processing, meaning the better you are at seeing a face, the more you see them as a whole. However, the better you are at recognizing Chinese, the easier you're going to tease them apart. I adopt this paradigm and recruited simplified and traditional Chinese readers to my study, and I found that my simplified Chinese readers can process both scripts analytically, but traditional Chinese readers could only process traditional Chinese analytically. Why is this the case? All my participants are equally literate, so the answer lies in the script itself. We threw all the scripts into computer, and our modeling data tells us that simplified Chinese characters, although visually less complex, look more distinct to each other, and thus occupy a larger mental representation space. In contrast, traditional Chinese characters look more similar to each other, and thus occupy a smaller space. To make an analogy, to read simplified Chinese characters, you need a mental space as thick as an Oxford Dictionary for advanced learners. But one concise one for beginning learner is enough to read the traditional Chinese characters. It turns out that appearance can fool people. Simplified Chinese characters aren't simple at all. We need larger space to process them, and thus this transfer is possible, but not vice versa. Thank you.